All right, what's going on? I'm gonna cut that one short a little bit. Sorry about the intro. I guess when you click mute, it mutes everything. So my bad. Um, but so today we're going to talk with Councilwoman from District Six, Councilwoman Havrda. And I hope I'm not butchering your last name. I'm so sorry. but we're going to talk about the SA Speak Up survey, and what we will do is basically just kind of talk about why it's important to take the survey. Because I have some critical questions about that too. Because I took it and it wasn't very helpful, I don't think. But maybe we can get some more insight, and that's what we want to do. Because the deadline is tomorrow. And I also want to make sure I kind of shout out some of the things that are going to be happening as far as backpack supply drives that are happening pretty much all over the city. And let me go ahead and pull these up real quick. Well, actually, we'll do that later. So let me go ahead and bring on our guest. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
And it's the first time we've talked since after the election. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
How
I'm
does it
very
feel?
honored.
How does it feel to be back? Given the notice from the people that said they wanted you back.
Well, I'm honored. I'm so grateful to be able to represent this area of the city where I grew up. So the last two times, when I've been elected, it really is just really a vote of confidence to show me that they're happy with the work I'm doing, but I never take it for granted. I always have to do better. I mentioned, these are my people. These are the people that I grew up around and help me to shape who I am. So I very strongly feel like I need to advocate for them at all times, which is why, this budget survey is so important to me. But it does feel great. I just am humbled and honored to be able to represent this community where I grew up and who raised me.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, let's get into it. So the San Antonio Speak Up survey, it's a survey that's found online, and I'll show that to everybody here. What it looks like, and where to go? Here we go. So so this is what it looks like. This is where you would go to actually take the survey, um, and you would just click here. And so, can you tell us something about this? What else? What else on here should we be looking for?
Well, this is a good opportunity for you to connect with your council members and your city and tell them where you want to see your dollars spent. Ultimately, these are all our tax dollars. We want to make sure that they're being spent where you want them to be spent. I feel really strongly, I mentioned, about advocating and representing this area where I grew up, but I can never assume that I know where they want their dollars to be spent. So it's very, very important to me that I'm getting that feedback from the community, not just on the budget, but on any issue. If you have a problem with your street, you have a problem with a neighbor, sometimes let me know and we can try to help you resolve it as best as possible. But in regards to the budget, this is your money, right? Money that we pay into the system as citizens of San Antonio, and maybe I want to see it spent abating graffiti. Maybe somebody else wants to see it solve the drainage issue on their block. Maybe somebody else wants to see it go towards more police officers. Maybe not, but I don't know that until people tell me that. And so part of my representation is always going out into the community and asking them, where do you want to see your dollars spent? What do you want to see me advocating for? We actually went out, my team and I went out this weekend and just knocked on doors, just went door to door in our neighborhoods asking the questions that the budget survey asks. But I get more of a conversation out of it. So I was able to really kind of put a face to the name and understand why they want to their budget dollars spent here or there. You have the link online. It's very easy to be able to do that. It's probably the quickest way to get your survey filled out and your voice heard. But not everybody has access to the internet, so we do actually have
Right.
paper surveys. If you can come by and pick one up at our office, if you need us to take it to you, let us know. Our email is district6@sanantonio.gov. You can also call 210-207-7065, and we'll get them out to you as quickly as possible. And I'm not just talking to District 6 residents. Of course, my responsibility is always to represent District 6, but if there are other people that live outside of District 6 and don't have access to the internet, please let us know. We'll do our best to get you out a paper copy. You can fill that out, and then we'll take it and submit it to the city. But again,
something that was mentioned, I think, during the inauguration of the new city council, it was a city council for all, right? Is what y'all were saying. So, I think that we forget that.
Yeah.
So what kind of things do you think are you seeing done right now that do you think it's lining up to be that way right now, or do you think?
I hope so. It's hard for me to speak for other districts, but in my district, I don't share the political views of every single person in my district, but it doesn't matter. I have to represent them. So, and there's no boundaries in real life either, right? It's because you live on the other side of the street and live in District 4 or District 7 or District 5 doesn't mean I'm not going to help you. So I do try to live the motto, city council for all, because if you are coming to my office, it's because you're asking for my help. I'm not going to turn you away because you don't live in my district. Having said that, that is my priority. I have some modicum of influence over my own district. So whatever I can do to help our own neighbors, of course I'm going to do. But my neighbors aren't just in District 6. So
yeah, definitely. So when people go to this website, what are some things that they should look out for? What are these other boxes? I mean, is it worth going into them? I mean, what would they get out of that?
I think so. I think there are a number of individuals that live in San Antonio that maybe don't know how the budget process works. And, every year they give us a book about that thick to read through. I wouldn't advise taking the time to do that. It takes a lot of time, and it's very intense. And of course I do it every year, but this is a little bit easier to read. It's more digestible, I guess. You can do it at your leisure if you have some time and kind of go click the different boxes, but it's going to teach you about the kinds of things that our budget can do for you. Because I put out even my own survey. We have the city survey, but I sent out my own survey to my district, asking questions maybe a little different way to make sure that we're getting all of that engagement. And of course, you can always just write on there what you want to say, how you want to communicate to me. We got one back that it was asking about a development going up nearby. It had nothing to do with the budget, but it's a good way for us to hear from you.
Yeah.
So anything that we can get more input from you is helpful. But also, maybe you don't know what the city budget can do for you, what access you have to it. So this is a good way to learn about it.
So when I took the survey, I was really disappointed about how there is a lack thereof information. It seemed very vague. So can you tell me what you would get specifically from it? Because when I took it, it was like very vague. And I was just like, how could somebody get anything from this? So can you kind of explain?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good point. And sometimes maybe it's somewhat intentionally broad so that we're not wording questions that are so specific that you don't really feel like you necessarily agree or disagree with it. But there are a lot of areas for open dialogue where you can, maybe not dialogue, but you can write in certain areas. So I hope that people are taking advantage of that. But I think what I get from it mainly is the idea of what people want to spend money on. Is it streets? Is it graffiti? Different things. And maybe what they don't want to spend money on too. My specific survey was a little more, what's the word? I guess more specific. And it was kind of check marking boxes, but of course want to know the open-ended questions of what you would like to see in your neighborhoods. But I do accept that. I hear that criticism, and I'm going to go through it again and see how we can improve at least the city survey. My own survey, I'd like to hear some feedback on that too, the one that I sent out to District 6, because I would like to know more about how we can improve it. I think sometimes the city is intentionally broad so that we're not kind of pigeonholing. And they have to be very careful about their wording, because people can say, well, that doesn't necessarily speak to my community. I'm a community of color. I'm a disabled person or whatever. I don't understand how that applies to me. I would like to tell you in a different way, whatever it is. But I do appreciate you letting me know that, and I would like to go through it again with that critique in mind.
Yeah, and it's I think the biggest frustration from a lot of people is we see a lot of things being spent from our city budget, but we're like, why would somebody approve these things? And so taking the budget with having that in mind too, or taking the budget survey with that in mind, it's like there's no accountability of, okay, well, this is where we're going to spend our money on because this is what you guys wanted it for. You know what I mean? So I think that could be a really big frustration from the citizens itself, and that's why I really wanted to bring that point across. Now, as far as these other things here, are they separate surveys that go into the budget survey, or?
I'm having a little trouble seeing it, but yeah, I think they are. Like, one of them is public art and sculpture. You can talk more specifically about what you'd like to see there. I'm not as familiar with it because I did my own. I was sort of focused on my survey, but they're more specific. Like, I see the pedestrian bicycle bridge survey. Potholes, of course, is a big one. Streets and drainage is always number one on people's list. So what the city does is take this data, really, you're giving them data and saying, maybe this one neighborhood really cares about this particular issue. But 2 blocks down the road, they don't want any money put into that at all. So what they do is they come up with these data points and will show us these graphs that say, look, 20% of your district thinks that this is the most important thing. Or 80% thinks that it's street maintenance, we did have a budget work session in June, and they showed us some of these statistics. I wonder if I can get you those, Eric. They might be on the website, but I'll try to help you find the link if not. And you can actually see the surveys that they took, where people thought that the money should be spent. It was sort of a preliminary survey. Surveys are never 100%. I mean, not everybody responds to them. Yeah. Not everybody even fills them all out, And are they really a good kind of depiction of the city, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Like, do they even know what some of this means, right? So,
right.
I mean, that's the thing is, I'll be honest, there were some questions on there where I just didn't know. I just didn't know what to answer, and I feel like I'm pretty well versed in what's going on in the city, and I'm just like, man, if somebody coming into this with no idea of what's going on and not staying on top of things, I think they would get easily lost in what to answer. So I think that's also a big issue, is some of these questions you're like, I don't know what to pick, because it's that, up in the air kind of thing.
That's a good point. How helpful can someone be if they don't understand what they're answering? How can they tell you what they think if they don't understand the question? That's a very good point. And I'll go through that survey, the city survey, with that critique in mind. And I do think, like I was mentioning earlier, there may be certain questions that exclude communities, whole communities. So we need to make sure that they're understanding that. And if it means educating them there on that piece of paper, this is what this means, then that's what we do. Because what I've learned in my representation of my district is people are very busy. They have to work. They have to raise their children. They have to, they have their everyday lives. They're not going to call me on the phone and tell me about every little thing. So it's my job to go out and ask them, to knock on doors and have my own survey. But it has to be a survey that they can understand, relate to, and will want to respond to.
Yeah. And so have you seen any other outreaches like that from any other city councils that you might want to try, or all of you pretty much kind of doing the same thing?
Well, I know that the city survey is for everybody in the city, so it's not specific to a district. I don't know that there are other council members doing their own surveys. I haven't heard that. I've always done it since I was elected because, we know our communities better sometimes, right? Than the big overarching city. But
Yeah.
I really um, feel like I know these neighborhoods better. And so the questions that I'm asking are very specific. And a lot of times we'll even call neighborhood associations or their presidents saying, hey, what are you hearing? Because they're out there and they're meeting with their
Right.
communities. And, the abuela next door comes over and says, hey, what's up with that pothole? And I don't necessarily know that, right?
Yeah.
But they do. And so it's really important for me to always connect with them and to find out what's happening. As much as I love being out in the neighborhoods, especially now we can get out a little more, I can't be at every door. So
Right.
I need those kind of community connectors, that those individuals that are out there to come and let me know what the community is looking for.
Yeah, definitely. And something that I came across when I was running last year is I think what would be so helpful is if the city were to actually start strengthening the partnerships within the community leaders, right? Um,
Mhm.
and identify those community leaders, because those people are putting that work. And not to say that you're not, right? I'm just saying that
Yeah,
they're putting in the work where you can't be, right?
right.
Um, and they're in the sense the pulse of the pulse. And so I think if we were to find a way to connect all of these leaders together, and I actually wanted to do like a class of how to be a community leader in your neighborhood, because we need people that to have a stepping stone, right? A lot of people
Absolutely.
don't know how to do it or what to do first or resources, and if you were to give those people those tools and start strengthening our communities, I think that would be beneficial, and have a point of contact rather than um, asking just broadly, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
granted, you have your neighborhood associations, but I think there are some really dedicated people that are community helpers and community leaders in our neighborhoods.
That's right. And they're not always in positions of power. Like you
Right.
mentioned, they're not always presidents of their homeowners associations or their neighborhood
Right.
associations. And that is actually something that we're working on. I may get with you, Eric, to learn more about your ideas about it. But we're currently working on a program where we'll have these connectors. We actually, in your neighborhood who has a
Mhm.
lot of influence, right?
Right.
It's sometimes it's just the older couple that's lived there for 50 years and everybody kind of goes to them for help and advice. But they also come to them with their problems. And so
Yeah.
I have identified a lot of those in my own district so that I can connect with them and say, what are you hearing out there? Because it's really unfortunate, and we're working on this, but a lot of communities don't trust
No.
figures, right? They
Yeah.
don't they don't they don't trust. Unfortunately, sometimes our first responders, they don't trust their government, but they trust their neighbor that they grew up next door to, or
Because they don't
the
have anything to gain from it. I
right,
think that's the
exactly.
biggest thing.
And they should. It's exactly
Yeah.
right. So when they go to their neighbors and say, with this, we still haven't cleaned this graffiti up. It's been a month, right? And I'm saying kind of smaller things, but those are really the things that people come to us about. They're
Yeah.
important. They may seem smaller, but they're important because we have a lot of pride in our neighborhoods. We want to make sure that they're being kept up, and places for our to raise our kids. So when they go to those neighborhoods that are these neighborhood leaders, community leaders, like you mentioned, that are connectors that I can then talk to and say, hey, what's going on out there? Oh, well, do you know that we have this pack of dogs that's been terrorizing? This is a true story, actually. One of the connectors connected me to a lady who was working in a hotel along Old Highway 90, and this pack of dogs was coming after her every time she left her work to go to the bus stop. Well, she's at the bus stop. She doesn't have any protection there, and she can't leave because she's got to make her bus, right?
Yeah.
But she never thought to call our office or even animal control, right? But she talked to a neighbor who then called me, and of course we went out there and made sure that they were taken care of. She was taken care of, and she was safe. This lady's just trying to get home from work, on the bus. So it's my duty to help her however I can. But I wouldn't have known that. if I didn't have that relationship with that neighbor.
Yeah.
So it's really important. And I mentioned we're trying to work on issues of trust, but that's a long-term goal, and nobody wants to wait for that. I need to make sure that I'm helping them today. So
Right. And so, I mean, that's the thing too, is continuing on that, you know, unfortunately, council position is only up to 8 years, right? So,
mhm.
you know, it's what's going to happen afterwards, and it's just always that constant cycle of, well, it's going to change, or you know what I mean. So I think that's why people are
Sure.
distrustworthy. So I mean, hopefully we can get something figured out.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, it just transcends one person, right? It's
Mm,
it's it's not me. It's not the person before me. It's not the person after me. It's the seat, and it's
right.
the advocacy that this seat offers for the person holding it. I love this district. I say it all the time. These are my people. This is who I grew up around. But District 6 is very unique because I think we're very diverse, but I feel like we're like a little bit of a microcosm of the city. We're ethnically very diverse, culturally, socioeconomically. If you think about just geographically, we have a little bit of Alamo Ranch all the way over to Edgewood.
Mm,
That's just a big span, and
right.
so sometimes that can be challenging to represent everybody. But what I'm always looking for is the commonalities, and local government is the reason I felt really strongly about running for city council as opposed to a higher office is because you have the most interaction with your constituents. With
True.
your day to day. I'm out there every single day. Even when I'm going to the grocery store, I'm representing my constituents. I'm talking to people there about like, hey, did you see that? Do you need a speed hump outside this grocery store? It's always there for you. So I really think that we're a good microcosm of the city. But another big concern of mine is partnering with other areas of the city that share our concerns. Uh, One of the big things I'm hearing this time around, especially because of the rain we've had this year, is flood mitigation.
Mm,
Flooding issues, right?
right.
Of course, policing has been a big issue. Traffic, better street lighting, and then attracting the best kind of development, right? Not just any development. We're the fastest growing district in the city, and we're just getting started. Not only in District 6, but right outside. If you think about um, Alma Ranch, you think about Helotes. That's all outside District 6. Yeah, there you go. So I
Yeah.
love I love this map because if you see it, the bulk of it is here. Down at the bottom. But then you go further west, just up Culebra, 471, and then that big area on top, that white area on top, is Government
Government
Canyon.
Canyon, right?
So we have the only natural area. I love it. It's just so interesting and unique.
Which is not an easy hike. I will tell you
No,
that. We took it with our kids, and it was the worst mistake because
oh,
we did
really.
6 miles right at the end towards evening time. It got dark, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
That's tough. But I'm
It's
glad to hear
pretty
you went
though.
out there. They have dinosaur tracks. I don't know if y'all saw that,
Yes,
but I
yes.
think that's just really cool that we have such a diverse district. But it means that we have a lot of diverse needs. So I have my work cut out for me.
Yeah. So um, yeah, I just realized that's probably a heavy concentrate of people, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But we have the San Antonio is the best city in the world. I mean, I'm so grateful to even live here, but to have an opportunity to represent part of the city just means everything to me because I think we're just such a friendly community, and we're always looking to help. And it's like we were saying earlier. Yes, I represent District 6, but this city especially in the last 2 years, has really shown its colors. And we've seen a lot of our challenges. The pandemic especially shown a light on a lot of the challenges that we have: food insecurity, all of our unemployment problems, things like that. But it also has really shown the best of our community. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. With that, I mean, do you see the food drives um getting better as far as like the amount of people? Like, is it getting better as in there's not too many people as it was before?
Yeah, so the food bank is actually in my district, and I remember when the pandemic first started, they went from something like 60,000 clients, people that came to the food bank for regular assistance doubled to like 120 in the span of a week. We all saw like those photos of all those um, cars lining up trying to get a food box. But really, to me, what that showed is how many residents of San Antonio were just one paycheck away from needing the food bank. And that's why I think that the more well, the most pressing issue, of course, is making sure everybody has food to eat, right? And they're safe and they're healthy. But also then looking at the future of our city and helping with job numbers and helping with training. That's really important because we need to help our community to get away from the fact that they're one paycheck away from maybe losing their house or having something to eat. I know I went out to a lot of the food distributions from the food bank, and there were a complete microcosm of our city. Again, older couples with 3 car seats in the back, a single person with their dog. And I don't know if y'all know this, but the food bank was giving out food boxes, but was also giving out dog and cat food. So it was trying to really help the whole person. But to your question, I think the numbers have gone down, but I do understand that they're going back up a little bit. We're also having the problem of our hospitality industry. A lot of those workers are not going back. When I put myself through school as a bartender, like I remember that's hard work. But it was, good money to get you through school. But now that they have another option, they're not going back to hospitality. So we have to be concerned about our restaurants and our hospitality industry and all those small businesses throughout our city that are suffering too.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I do want to get back on the food distribution point. And I don't know if you're aware or not, but what happened last year was kind of weird and unsettling with as far as how distributions were changed. There was a point where pretty much any organization can ask for a certain amount of food boxes every week and get them from from specific, I can't remember who it was specifically. I think it was Damari. But then they took that away from all of us, and we couldn't get those food boxes out to those specific areas that were in need. And so now they had to go specifically to the food bank to get those food boxes. And it made it worse on us or us as people, as a community leaders, because then we were like, sorry, we can't help you. They're not giving us any more food boxes. And now they had to go all the way, instead of being right in their neighborhood as best as we could be, to give out that food. And it was such a big issue, and they were just like, there's nothing we can do about it.
When did that change? Do you mind my asking?
That happened, I want to say in July or August.
Oh, so
of
last year. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so we were just like, what do we do,
Yeah.
So
let me talk to them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know it had something to do with the federal thing or whatever it is, but they wanted it to be centralized, but that really lowered the amount, the chances of people that really needed it to be able to get it, because it was closer to where they were at, and obviously closer to where, instead of having to drive all the way across town to get food boxes, they only had to meet us, right down the street or around the corner or whatever it was, because we were all pretty much sporadically spread out. We tried our best to do that. But
well, and that's a good point. I mean, not everybody had a car to get to the food bank. I always make the point when people look at that photo of all those cars in line, think about all the people that didn't have a car, So I think it was really important. And we even did some drives where we had food boxes that were in the communities where people were, because they couldn't get to the food bank, to your point, right? And then they weren't eating. It's not like, they were making the choice not to have to go, they didn't want to go across town. They couldn't get there.
Right.
You remember too, during the pandemic, the buses were running on a smaller schedule, right? Like they had an abbreviated schedule. So anyway, I think that's a really good point. I wasn't aware that was, had been reduced. I know we did a couple with the school districts, like with Edgewood, that were smaller distributions. They were going to the schools anyway to see their kids or pick up their kids, so we could give them boxes in that way. But that's what I've learned in my representation of my district. I think I mentioned it earlier, but I can't rely on people to come to me. I've got to go out to them. And that includes services like that. We have to go out to them and we have to provide them with those food boxes. I know there's a number of clinics in my district that are going out to the communities for vaccinations because they're not going to go to the clinic. They, like we mentioned, right? They have to work. They have kids to raise or grandkids to raise. So as much as we can go out to the community to deliver services like food boxes, like vaccinations, then we need to. It's incumbent upon us to do that.
Definitely. Just a couple more questions. Are there any school drives or anything that are going on in your district that we can kind of promote that so that way people know where to go to and things like that?
Yes, sir. There is on the 7th. My office is having a school supply giveaway. So anybody that doesn't have school supplies getting ready for the year or a backpack, we have all of that ready to go for you. On August 7th, it's going to be at the WETC, the Westside Educational Training Center, and we'll get you more information on that. I know I don't have the specifics, but I know that Westover Hills Church in my district, it's right there on Westover Hills and Culebra. They're having a big school supply event. I'll get you more information on that, but they do a lot in our community. They opened up their doors during the storm, and they were the only warming center in District 6. So I was really grateful to them for doing that because they didn't have to. They're a private church, and they really opened up their doors to everybody, even people that weren't in their congregation. But they're having a school supply giveaway, so I'll find out more information for you on that, so you can post that too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and there's a lot. I know on my page I've been posting a lot of different from the East Side, District 2, District 3. Let me bring this up here. I think Phyllis is having a low cost vaccination for
great
pets, which actually got shared a lot. So
good.
I was seeing people really.
Yeah.
That was really important information for people.
Good. That's a great service.
Let's see here. Let me pull that up for everybody. If I could find it. Oh, here it goes. So, y'all can see this. It's over at the Pets Barn on Southwest.
Oh, microchipping too.
Yeah, microchipping.
It's a big deal.
Free.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Let's see what else. There's which me and For Goodness and Jefferson's Bodega, we will be doing a back to school drive as well on August 1st. We're gonna have free haircuts for kids 18 and under.
Oh, nice.
We have about, I think, 20 barbers that are going to be out there. So
that's amazing.
Bring your kids.
Great.
Doesn't matter
August 1st.
what district you're in. If it's District 6, I think this is in District 7, but we'll be having vendors and stuff like that. And then a petting zoo too.
Nice. Okay.
Once in a while, it's going to be out there. Cool. What else? There is a couple more that I do want to point out. This is also important information. Free housing assistance. I know you guys put that out for the city. And then, where's it at? The food giveaway for Bridging the Gap. They will be doing one that's on the west side on July 27th.
Oh, great.
22nd. Big Mama Safe House on the east side will be doing supply. Probably, was it next week? Was it 27th? Tuesday. So they'll be doing one. I think that's. District 5, Councilwoman Castillo's doing a back to school bash as well. So keep. If you guys have any other back to school drives, please let me know so we could post it. It's always helpful to have any of this information. And if you can also donate anything, please let me know so I can go and send it over to district or to the to Jefferson's Bodega as well, or to the councilwoman's. Because you said where was it at?
Mine on August 7th is at the Westside Educational Training Center.
Okay. So if you have a flyer or anything, let me know and I could.
I will. Sure will.
but yeah, so but thank y'all. I hope this was a little bit educational with the Speak Up survey. It's tomorrow is the deadline, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
So you have to have it by close of business.
Yeah, probably 5 o'clock. Now,
Okay.
if there are any District 6 residents out there that have my survey, I mean, there's not a deadline, but try to get them in before the end of August. It's when we really start to get nitpicky about the budget. But I do want as many responses as I can get, so I don't have a deadline.
Okay. And have you seen anything like pretty apparent recently that on your surveys that you're like,
It's street maintenance, mainly street maintenance, and then flooding right now. Those are the two big ones that we're seeing. We got hit pretty hard, District 6 far west, with these last few rainstorms. We had a number of outages even since the winter storm. We've had a lot of outages, and we've had areas of our district that have never flooded. So people weren't expecting it. And the water was in and out of their homes in 45 minutes, but they can't live in their homes right now. Yeah.
wow.
So there's a lot of flash flooding that we've suffered from in District 6. But so I'm hearing a lot about, of course, flood mitigation. And then street maintenance is always number one.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you always coming on here. And just thank you for that. And just definitely let's keep in touch with that whole community leader thing and
I will. Thank you.
And hopefully we can get us on the right track, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. And thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. I guess it's been a few months now, but I do appreciate the opportunity. And I do appreciate your feedback, letting us know honestly the critiques of some of the things that the cities are doing, because it's really important to learn from that.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And again, if you have any questions for the councilwoman, please reach out to her. What's your field office phone?
210-207-7065. And then email. I'm sorry. Sure. 210-207-7065. And then our email is district6@sanantonio.gov. And 6 is the number, not filled out, not spelled out.
Oh, okay.
That's perfect. Yeah.
So that's the phone number right there. So
that's right.
Please reach out. Yeah, and then if you have any concerns, especially obviously if you're District 6, and even if you're not getting any help with another district, I mean, I'm sure you can point them in the right direction. But
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you for joining, and thank you, everybody. Stay tuned next week. We will have Aaron Hamlin from the Center of Election Science. He's going to be talking with us about ranked choice voting, approval voting, different types of voting methods that could possibly benefit our city. Because Austin just passed ranked choice voting this last election period, which is surprising.
Wow.
Although they can't do anything right now because of the Texas law. But I think it's worth a look into, that we need to maybe change the way our election process is. So definitely tune in next week. And we should have really good questions about that one. So, but thank you all. You have a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.